Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have the pineapple Victoria, domestically produced in France. Well, there are a couple things I have to explain here. Well, first, what's a pineapple, then what's the pineapple Victoria, and third, what means domestically produced here in France. Well, let's start with the pineapple. The funny thing is, when Columbus got some pineapples from the Guarani people in South America, he kind of recorded the name Ananas, of which those local people had for the fruit, but when he presented it at the court of the Spanish monarchs, he called it piña. And piña is, of course, the fruit, or rather the cone, of the pine. And the funny thing is that, the Spanish adapted this word piña, which the British then adapted as pineapple, an apple coming from a pine. Well, this is neither an apple nor coming from a pine, but I'm happy to tell you that the rest of the world is still using the original Native American word for the fruit. So everywhere outside the English and Spanish speaking countries, this thing is known as ananas or nanas or some sort of variation of it. Well, the pineapple Victoria or ananas Victoria is the favorite pineapple variety of Queen Victoria, maybe even her favorite fruit. And thus is not being grown for size or productivity, it's being grown for sweetness and flavor. And the flavor is really good, I must say. Despite the fresh breeze here, I can smell it quite well. Well, now the more interesting part for me, domestically produced in France. I'm here on the Côte d'Azur, the most subtropical part of continental France, and I'm at the eastern end of the Côte d'Azur, the area basically bordering Italy and surrounding the tiny state of Monaco. And this is by far the most subtropical part of continental France, because here a small strip of land, usually not wider than 1 or 2 kilometers and maybe 40-50 kilometers long, which includes parts of France, Italy and the whole state of Monaco. You cannot see it right here. The Alps are really close to the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea is basically acting as an air conditioner, cooling down the area in summer and heating it up in winter. And the Alps are preventing the cold northern winds. So this area is the best place by far in France, actually the only place in France where you can really successfully grow subtropical fruits. And they are very famous for their olives, for their lemons, for their other citruses. They have a lot of exotic palm trees, especially in the town of Menton, which is like 20 kilometers this way. They really excel at growing exotic fruits. And in one of the botanic gardens of Menton, they have several of them, and each one has interesting exotic fruits. I saw a book with drawings of fruits of Menton, not photographs, drawings, paintings. And they had the standard stuff like lemons, oranges, mandarins, figs and so on. And then they also had paintings of stuff like pineapple and cocoa. I don't believe they can grow pineapples and cocoa outdoors here. Yeah, the climate might be basically almost frost-free, but I can believe that they can grow those things in cold houses, but not outdoors. I will believe it when I see it. They can grow stuff like chirimoyas, avocados, even mangoes and papayas to some extent, and even some guavas, but pineapple, nope. So why did I say then that it's domestically produced in France? Well, here is the label, Ananas Victoria Île de la Réunion. Yeah, it's not such a well-known fact outside of France, but France still, even in the 21st century, maintains the biggest overseas colonial empire of all colonial powers. bigger than the US with Hawaii, Puerto Rico, Guam, and a couple other islands. Bigger than Britain with stuff like Gibraltar and the Falklands and a lot of other small islands. Bigger than the Dutch, who actually lost a significant part of their overseas empire even in the 21st century. Bigger than Spain, which has an overseas empire, but it doesn't stretch all around the globe. Nowadays it's mostly concentrated to nearby parts of Africa. Well, you could argue that Russia has a bigger colonial empire even nowadays, but it's not really an overseas empire since they sold Alaska. So France is secretly one of the biggest countries in the world and still maintains the biggest overseas empire of all. And while China is building artificial islands in order to increase the size of its overseas empire, France just never let go of a lot of its colonies. And the island of La Réunion in the Indian Ocean is one of those colonies. So for the French, this stuff is domestically produced, could just as well be produced in Paris. Actually, the funny thing is when you fly to French possessions in the Caribbean or in the Indian Ocean or in the Pacific Ocean, and you come from Germany and you have to change planes in France, from Frankfurt to Paris. In Paris you land on the international airport Charles de Gaulle, and then in order to fly half around the globe, let's say to the Indian or the Pacific Ocean, you have to go through the whole city of Paris and go to the local domestic airport, because the whole world is still belonging to France. And so they can grow those pineapples not here in the subtropical climate of the Côte d'Azur, but in the fully tropical climate of the Indian Ocean. Now let's finally taste this fruit. It smells really nicely, that's why I bought it. It wasn't even too expensive, it was like €2.90, which is about $3. That's not much more expensive than the price of the average low quality mango in the local supermarkets here. The Côte d'Azur is a very posh and very expensive place, folks, and I was really surprised this thing didn't cost like €7 or €8. Okay, let's try it. I also like when the pineapple is good to eat the central core. It's tougher than the rest, but also sweeter. By the way, a pineapple is not a fruit, it's a branch. This is the stem of the pineapple plant. Here it has leaves, and here you have a lot of single fruits which are fused into one big structure. So each of those little things has a seed, or in cultivars often has no seed, and is a single fruit. Okay, now I've talked for over 8 minutes. Let's see if this thing is as tasty as it is smelly. First the stem, less sweet than I expected. Normal pineapples, the stem is the sweetest part, but this one is not very sweet and neither is it very aromatic. Now the fruits. A bit more sweet and pretty aromatic. However, I'm a bit disappointed. It definitely is very aromatic, but it's much less sweet than I expected. I hope for superior taste and flavor. Yeah, the flavor is superior, but the sweetness definitely not. Still, a funny thing, an interesting fruit, and it gave me the opportunity to tell you a couple things about pineapples, Victoria, and the French colonial empire. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful subtropical coast of the Côte d'Azur, hopefully of domestically stolen fruits. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.